This is for example 3. We are still working on our goal to solve one variable equations using inverses. So here for example 3, again, best practices, we're drawing our line straight through our equal sign, reminding ourselves that we have two sides of the equation, and whatever we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other side of the equation. So the steps, if you need to pause and write down your steps and then check with what I do, please do that. I'm going to move through this pretty quickly. So first, we're going to start with x. Then we're going to subtract 3. And finally, on that left side, we are multiplying by 2. For our inverse steps, again, if you want to pause the video and think about this for a second, you can. But our inverse steps, our inverse of starting with x is ending with x. Our inverse of subtracting 3 is adding 3. And our inverse of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. And again, we want to do those inverse steps in reverse order. So our first step on both sides of the equation is going to be to divide by 2. So we show the division with the fraction bar. We did it on the left side, so we also have to do it on the right side. We're going to divide by that number 2 on both sides. So the 2's divide out over here. We're left with x minus 3. And negative 8 divided by 2, again, using calculators if you need them, is negative 4. Okay, so we bring that equal sign down with us. And we finish step number 1. For our next step, we want to add 3. Again, remembering whatever we do to one side, we're also going to do to the other side. We want to see what this equals. Minus 3 plus 3 goes to 0. We're left with x on the left. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. So we can see our x is isolated. It's by itself. We have x equals negative 1. So now I want to check that. I'm going to say 2 parentheses is my first parenthesis. Parentheses for my variable minus 3, and I want to see if that's equal to negative 8. So I'm going to put in negative 1 here. Again, you can put this into your calculator. Negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. I get negative 8 equals negative 8. This is true, so I know my answer of x equals negative 1 is correct. Pause the video now and try number 3. So I got my answer as x equals 0. Again, if you got this problem correct, you can stop the video now and move on to the last video, example 4. If you need to think about what happened here, I start with x, I add 2, then I multiply by negative 5. So that's what this meant. The inverses were ending with x, subtracting 2, and dividing by negative 5. So here, the first thing that I did was both sides I divided by negative 5. These negative 5's divided out. I was left with x plus 2. Negative 10 divided by negative 5 is 2. Again, you're using calculators if you need for that. So I finished that step. My next step was to subtract 2 from both sides. Plus 2 minus 2 goes to 0. I was left with x. 2 minus 2 goes to 0. So my answer is x equals 0. When there's only a constant and no variable, on one side we do write the 0. Okay, so checking this, I substituted my 0 for x. 0 plus 2 is 2, times negative 5 is negative 10. Negative 10 equals negative 10, so this solution checks. So stop the video now and watch the last example.